Well, hey guys, we're out in the greenhouse today, going to be doing some work, and I'm actually working on a really special tree to me. It's one of the older pieces that we have in cultivation here. So what I want to do is give you a quick rundown of how we create a gin, that's a piece of deadwood on a tree, and why that's important to the story that the tree tells us. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to pick up the fans running on the video or not. If so, sorry. That's the nature of temperature swings. You guys probably saw there was snow on the ground a few days ago, and now we are back in the high 40s, low 50s here in Wisconsin, so the constant trial and struggle. But this is the tree that we're going to be working on here. And this is a juniper varietal. It's a Jonagold or something like that. This has been in the containerized environment for something like 15 to 17 years. Really sturdy grower. Really healthy tree. I just want to give you guys some idea of the scope of what we're dealing with here. Like, this is an old piece and really well ramified. Does really well with real hard cutbacks every single year. Like, this thing just grows like a weed. But the issue that I'm having is that this defining branch, which is probably the oldest branch on the tree, is just way out of proportion from where everything else is. So we have our apex moving all the way down. Really cool shari. This is this dead vein moving down the tree, and a few little small gins. But one of these things is not like the other. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a gin out of this big defining branch and move my design up, create some negative space in this area. This is going to be really positive for the tree. So I'm going to get the camera set up and then show you guys just really quick how we do that. And remember, this tree's also going to be repotted this year. We're going to get it in something way more fitting for the type of piece that it is. So this plastic grow box is going to be out, and it'll be in a nice larger round that should match the quality and the design way better. All right, guys, I think I have the camera positioned properly. Now, the primary tools we're going to be using for this are, believe it or not, a needle nose pliers, a concave cutter. This will be for the bigger work. I'm going to use bone size shears just to take the foliage off. Now remember, we want really sharp shears, and I wouldn't want to use shears like this on thick branching like this. It's just a bad strategy. So we're going to kind of work our way slowly back. And then we also have a traditional gin pliers. This is Kiku Gold. I really like Kiku as a brand, so they're just the primary that I use for most of my tools. I think everything that I showed so far, save for my Husky needle nose, were Kiku's. But if this branch is going, we're just going to have it go. So I'm going to start by cutting this foliage back. And I know this is probably going to make somebody cringe out there, but there's just a reality that if we need to change the design, we're going to go ahead and change the design. And my first step is, let's start taking the foyer mass off on something like one of these junipers and see what we've got to work with underneath it and behind it. See, a lot of this ramification has bottom growth, it has knuckles that were starting to form. Like, there was a lot going on within these pads. So I just sort of take it back to here. See, these knuckles, I don't know if you guys can make out how big those are. Those would not make for phenomenal deadwood features anyway. So what I want to do is, let's go back just a little bit. Start seeing what happens if we get back behind where these knuckles are. And see how that feels. It's still pretty symmetrical. And if I'm being honest, if you were in nature, it'd be pretty rare to see a deadwood feature that looks like that on a tree. Like, that's just not the way things happen. But I'm thinking I probably want to go back in here somewhere. And I've got another piece, I don't know if you guys can make it out. There's another piece that I started reducing before. So I'm going to go back here. Let's just see how that looks. That doesn't look bad, but I want to get rid of this fork back here. So I'm going to take that off there too. See, this is starting to look like a little more natural. It's starting to appear to me like it could work as a representation in some way of nature in miniature. So what I want to do now is just start crushing this. And what I'm doing is I'm loosening up the bark. This piece is going to be harder to work on in the back because this piece had its foliage stripped way earlier in the year. So we might not worry about that for now. I'm going to take this gin pliers and see how that starts to just slough off the bark. Well, our goal is going to be to get all of this bark sloughed off as much as possible, and that's where we can start getting that illusion of age. So you wouldn't want to do this kind of a work on a pine generally. You like for a pine to have its deadwood created very slowly. On a juniper, it's not a bad plan to use the fact that the bark is still a little loose to your advantage, to start peeling, picking, taking all of this off. And then the other thing is there's a danger in deadwood of taking off too much and using the wrong tool. What I mean by that is if you are coming in here with a cutters and just working your way back, I can actually take maybe an inch of this off and show you. See, you cut, and then you cut. It starts to look like a beaver chewed that, and not like it was created by nature. We want this to still have the feel of a natural deadwood presentation. We want this to be like, if you could imagine the story of the tree, including one year the snow load was so great that it just snapped this branch off. And the way that we do that is we crush the end a little bit, find somewhere we can grip it, and then we use the tool to peel from the end. And that's where a needle nose really comes in handy for gripping and peeling. So now we're gonna do a pretty good job of avoiding that weird beaver chewed kind of a tool marked look on the end of our tree, but still get something that is really stark, really beautiful, something that really gives the tree the image and perception of a great deal of age. So deadwood on junipers and pines primarily tells the story of the tree through what was taken away and what was left behind. So we are making this tree appear even older by removing that deadwood, by removing that live piece of material there. Remember, this is what we started with. This whole area was one big pad. Now we've moved the story up into this next layer of foliar mass, and we've created a really interesting story for this tree. So hopefully we can continue on telling this story. I'm going to grab and roll just a little bit more of this guy back, and then we'll call it a day for now. The thing about a juniper is the strength of the tree is found in the foliage. So because we're repotting, I'm not going to do anything more than just taking that piece off. That's a lot of work for this time of year for a juniper. Let me move this in a little closer to make sure that you guys can get all the detail on what we did. And then we'll come back out. I'll just grab the camera really quick and give you some idea of the way that this tree has changed. See how the whole feel of the tree just shifted. The age just increased dramatically with that one shift. I'm going to call that a beautiful job, well done. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time at Third Day Bonsai. Bye.